Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're going to continue looking at Milwaukee. And as we revisit this, I've already gone through my solution previously in the other videos, so it might be necessary, if you don't know where I'm coming from on this, then it might be necessary for you to go back and possibly watch some of those first videos as I kind of go through this entire verse. I'm not going to do that again on these because essentially I'm going to be picking up from down here when we go to the first young birch. I'm just going to be taking a different direction from that point. So if you want to go back and watch those other videos, that might catch you up to speed to get you to this point. There is one thing though that's different that I've kind of learned about that I want to talk to you about in this video, and that'll have to do with these lines up here: at a distance in time from three who live there, and at a distance in space from woman with harpsichord silently playing. We're going to get to that in just a second, though, because I think it's important to understand what exactly this whole idea centers on, and it's what's happening with this juggler in the image. First, we know that there's this rebus. You got the millstone, the walking stick, and the key, and that forms Milwaukee. And a lot of people think that one of the reasons that he did that was because Milwaukee and Chicago are close together, and he wasn't able or didn't want to use latitude and longitude coordinates in a second city when they were so close. And so he came up with a rebus puzzle to identify Milwaukee, which that makes a lot of sense. But I also think that it was a major clue to how to solve this puzzle. A rebus puzzle is essentially symbolism. And when you take a look at it, it's a device that combines the use of illustrated pictures with individual letters to depict words and or phrases. And so it's essentially symbolism. You're using one thing to represent something else. And you can see examples of that throughout this entire verse. And so that idea is number one. That's like top of the list. Like if you don't understand that's the main idea that this rebus is trying to get across to you, then I don't think you have any chance of figuring this puzzle out. Okay, the second one is the fact that she's juggling these things in a circle, I think is a major indicator that this is a circular puzzle. We start in a location, we go somewhere else, we go all the way down to Lake Park from downtown, and then we circle back to where we started, and then the verse takes over from the bottom, and you go somewhere else. Where I ended up the first time was at the Show and Libra building. I have a new idea, and that's what I'm going to kind of get into, starting with this one here. I mentioned that there was a little bit of a different take, though, on these four lines up here. And so you have at a distance in time and at a distance in space. So that kind of suggests that all those lines are referring to a singular place where you're both at a distance in time from the three who live there and at a distance in space from woman with harpsichord silently playing. Like it's one location where both of those things are happening. And in my previous theory, at a distance in time was second, because a second is a unit, a measurement of time. And so we were here, City Hall, which is the three who live there, were the three socialist mayors. And then the woman would be the Pabst Theater, the Grand Old Lady. The harpsichord would be the organ, and silently playing would be the silent movies that they showed in the theater. And so when we were here at 2nd and Wells, you were at a distance in time from here and at a distance in space from here, and that's why that kind of made sense. But I saw something recently on a thread, and it really piqued my interest. It doesn't really change anything, but I just think it makes a lot of sense. And so I kind of want to talk about it. And that is that time and space make you think of Einstein. And Einstein is German, which ties right into the immigration theme of this puzzle. And so if we're taking a look at the theory of relativity, which is E equals mc squared, at its most basic level, the equation says that energy and mass are interchangeable. So if the E and the m are interchangeable, it means that you could switch them across the equal sign, like in any math problem where two things on either side of the equal sign are the same. Like you could go either way, back and forth across the equal sign. So let's just say, for example, we bring the m over here and we bring the e over here, and now we have m e c squared. Well, c squared is c times c, so you'd have m e c c. Okay. Now going back to the map, okay, we started here on 2nd and Wells, but if we go back in time and go back down the street where Wells kind of dead-ended into this building, this is the Wisconsin Center now. But back then, it was known as the Mecca, M-E-C-C-A, and it stood for the Milwaukee Exposition, and the C.C., that's the M-E, the C.C. was the Convention Center, and then the A was the arena, which is this one over here across the street. So this side of the street was the M-E-C-C, and the A was across the street. Well, we just said that we could switch around the values on this equation and get MECC. So I think that that was a little bit of a puzzle that could refer us to the Mecca, but only this side of the street. And now we're on the same street that we were before, and we're still at a distance in time and a distance in space from these two important buildings, which we have image matches in the painting as well. And so now as you start walking down the street, eventually you get to the corner here of Waters and Wells, where, and I just want to throw this back to John Michaels, who was the first guy that I heard this from. JM basically said that the first line, when you view the 3 stories of Mitchell as you walk, you're walking down Wells. That's the first line, but then it's out of order, and so you're then taken back here with the next 2 lines, or the next 4 lines actually, the next kind of couple pairs, and then all of a sudden you're here as you're walking, which kind of confirms that you were on the right street to begin with. Now what he said was that there was a billboard on the side of one of these buildings back then when he was a kid that had an advertisement of the Mitchell domes, the Mitchell Park domes. There were 3 domes on the billboard, and it said something like, you know, come view the Mitchell Park domes or something like that. And what I found kind of interesting is that we found this old picture, and obviously you can tell from the cars this is a couple decades before when the book was released, but you can see right here that they were using billboards on the side of and advertisements on the side of their buildings back then. And so it would make sense that, you know, in the early 80s, you know, there could have very easily been, and this is Water and Wells right here. This is the Pabst Theater. So there could have very easily been a large advertisement, if not on the corner of this building, you know, maybe one of the other 2 buildings on this side of the street was, I think, if I remember right, what he was kind of referring to. So it's just really interesting that we found this old picture that kind of showed that was some of the things that they did in Milwaukee in the downtown area with some of their advertisements. So, you know, I'm gonna cut it off here, and we're gonna actually get into the verse. I just found it really interesting that, you know, this distance in time and distance in space could refer to Einstein, who was a German, which ties it to the immigration theme of the puzzle, and at the same time, with the rearrangement of E equals mc squared, can actually get you to a place on Wells right at the Mecca, but just on the MECC side, and ignoring the arena on the other side of the street. Okay, sit tight. We'll keep it going with the next video.